Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Spoiler Princess here, and today we will be talking about Detlinde, my opinions about her, and the school project I did on her that I have been mentioning for so long to everyone on Discord, and about 3 weeks ago I was asked about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm finally going to finish this video and publicize it, and I was like, sure, let's get this going. So I hope you all really like it. I put a lot of effort into this video, and make sure to like and subscribe to get more bookworm videos and more light novel videos coming up soon.
Detlinde by Noémie Demers. Enjoy! In this presentation, I will be talking about her family history, personality, attachment type, and her possible personality disorders, and going over what my personal thoughts are on the character. Detlinde was born in the 6th-ranked Duchy of Arnsbach, born to its Archducal couple, Archduke Arnsbach and his third wife, Georgine. She is an Archduke candidate. She is the youngest of all of her siblings, having one biological brother, one biological sisters, and 2 half-brothers from the second wife. And she also has a lot of married-off sisters when we meet her. At the end of the Civil War, the second wife got killed and both of her sons got demoted to archnobles in order to save their lives. The Duchy of Arnsbach now had to take care of the Duchy of Old Werkenstock. The only Archduke candidates left who could possibly take the seats of Ob were Wolfram and Detlinde. Wolfram was officially announced to be the Ob's successor. I also completely forgot to add to this whole presentation I did in class that Detlinde was being completely ignored by her family for being an idiot. I must add that her father ignored her, her mother didn't pay any kind of attention to her, she was basically just tossed to the side and left to on her own without anyone taking care of her. That is some important information for what is going to come up later. Tragic events from after the Civil War until Volume 9 of Part 5. Wolfram was found dead under very bizarre circumstances, totally not being murdered by his mom. Ob Arnsbach adopts his granddaughter Letitia and with his first wife and names her the next Ob. Detlinde meets her cousins Rosamund, Wilfried, and Rudiger at the Royal Academy. The first wives ends up dying under very bizarre circumstances, making Georgine the new first wife. Ob Arnsbach also suddenly falls ill, later dying. Detlinde becomes Ob and believes she is a Zent candidate? How did that happen? Totally not a Christmas tree incident. The royal decrees that she must marry Ferdinand, which is a total disgrace. Like, how dare they? But in all seriousness, we can all tell that this was part of the master plan Georgine planned out in order to take over Ehrenfest eventually by basically forcing Ferdinand away from Ehrenfest, who was the only person that could have stopped him that she knew of. That's important to note. And obviously every time someone dies, it's her fault. Also, it is important to note that Georgine is fully using her daughter at this moment. And this is not like a whole like, oh my god, she finally got affection for her daughter. No, she is fully using her, and it's very important to have the distinction here. So I will just like mention quickly what happens after this whole like stuff. So Lanzenave ends up coming to Arnsbach. Detlinde feels for them and wants to help them and goes to Ferdinand, basically accusing Ferdinand of being jealous of her and Leonzio's relationship. Her and Leonzio basically start fully planning to take over and make her Zent, while like fully using the fact that she is an idiot and her delusions in order to make this plan happen. She, during this whole thing, is being used and abused, and she ends up getting imprisoned at the end. And yeah, poor girl, man. Poor girl. Her personality. I will be using the 5 big personality traits, which is a modern and traditional studies in psychology that points to 5 basic dimensions of a personality. Evidence of the theory has grown over the years, with the principal theory emerging in 1949. The 5 broad personalities trait described by the theory are extroversion, agreeableness, openness, conscientiousness, and neuroticism. Openness is a characteristic that includes imagination and insight. The world, other people, and an emergence to learn and experience new things is a particularly high for this personality trait. It leads to having a broad range of interest and being more adventurous when it comes to decision making. Conscientiousness is a trait that includes high levels of thoughtfulness, good impulse control, and goal-directed behavior. This organized and structured approach is often found within people who work in science and even high retail finances, where detail orientation and organization are required as a skill set. Extroversion is one of the most known traits. Extroversion is a trait that many will have come across in their lives. It is easily identifiable and widely recognized as someone who gets energy in the company of others. This, amongst other traits, will include talkativeness, assertiveness, and high amounts of emotional expressiveness, and have made extroverted people widely recognizable over the many years of social interactions. People who exhibit high agreeableness will show signs of trust, altruism, kindness, and affection. Highly agreeable people tend to have high prosocial behavior, which means that they're more inclined to helping other people. Sharing, comforting, cooperating are traits that lend themselves to highly agreeable personality traits. Empathy towards others is commonly understood as another form of agreeableness, even if in terms it doesn't quite fit. Neuroticism is characterized by sadness, moodiness, and emotional instability. Often mistaken for antisocial behavior or worse, a greater psychological issue, neuroticism is a physical and emotional response to stress, perceived threats to someone's daily life. Individuals who exhibit high levels of neuroticism will tend to experience mood swings, anxiety, and irritability. Some individuals who experience sudden changes in character from a day-to-day perspective could be highly neurotic and respond to high stress levels in their work and personal lives. So, what do you think Detlinde's personality is? Would she have high neuroticism, low neuroticism, high extroversion, or low extroversion? And everything else. What do you think her personality traits are? Well, let's go and see. Detlinde shows low openness, low conscientiousness, high extroversion, low agreeableness, and low neuroticism. Let me explain why. So, for low openness, Detlinde is very inflexible and close-minded, which is very typical for the noble society in this world. So, most nobles will show a low openness score. She has a low conscientiousness score because she is irresponsible and she is rash. Instead of being really into working, she doesn't really like work. She will always put other people first in her work. She won't be doing the work herself. She will be taking credit of her attendant's work and other people's work. Detlinde has a high extroversion score because she is attention seeking often. She is very happy to be with people, in front of people. She actually voluntarily seeks to be the center of attention always. So that's important. She has a low agreeableness score because she is very deceitful, manipulative, and very callous. She doesn't really she's really not agreeable with people. She will always look for herself fulfillment first and then other people's. And her low neuroticism score. This surprised some people when I told them about this, considering that they know the character, but neuroticism is specifically related to stress. It's not, so having characteristics like fearlessness and shamelessness is very, she is specifically like this, and she doesn't really exhibit many stressful behaviors, and when she's in a stressful situation, she just doesn't understand the concept of stress. Now, this part here that is here is more of a fun little thing that I and other people in the Discord group did together, where we were like, what would be her Myers-Briggs? So in general, her Myers-Briggs, considering what her 5 personality traits were, would show that she is, in fact, a ESTP personality type, which is baffling. And what really did to see if this was actually true, we actually took the test 3 times as Detlinde, and every single time that's the personality trait they gave us, so personality type they gave us. So if you guys want to go check out what that means, you can. It was just a fun little thing we did together on the Discord. Attachment types. In order to determine which of the 4 attachment styles you have, we look at how you interact with your caregiver, looking at 2 traits, anxiousness and avoidance. Depending on how those 2 traits are portrayed and if they have a low or high expressiveness, will determine which of the 4 attachment styles you have. So let's get into looking at these attachment styles. First, we have the secure attachment style, which will be when you have a low anxiety and a low avoidance score. It is typically formed when a caregiver is consistent with filling the baby's physical and emotional needs, most likely to have long-lasting, healthy relationship, likely to trust their partners. This is the attachment style that we hope everyone will get. Next, we have anxious or anxious ambivalent. This one will have a high anxiousness score and a low avoidance score. Formed when the caregiver isn't consistent in meeting the baby's need, these children learn that they may or may not get the attention that they need. They may be seen as clingy, needy, or not trusting, can be consumed by concern of their loved ones abandoning them, and they seek constant reassurance. The avoidant or anxious avoidant. This one shows low anxiety and high avoidance score. It is formed when the caregiver does not provide a baby with sufficient emotional support. Caring generally ends at the physical needs. Can be seen as a self-reliant and emotionally guarded baby or a child, unlikely to seek emotional comfort. These people are generally very efficient and very self-reliant. Last but not least, we have the disorganized attachment type, which has high avoidance and high anxiety score. This is shown by the lack of coherence in social behaviors. The child does not know what to expect, nor does the child know when the caregiver will meet their needs, if at all. Such children lack coherence in their own behavior towards the caregiver. They might seek closeness, but at the same time reject their caregiver's proximity and distance themselves due to fear. This is obviously Detlinde's one, considering how her mother treated her and how she reacts to her mother by always seeking to be close to her and getting all of the attention from her mom. And this also relates to parenting style. Her mother's parenting style was very much rejecting / negligent parenting style, where they're basically just fully letting their child go. They're not taking care of them. This is very neglectful parenting. You don't want this kind of parent, and sadly Georgine and her husband were these kind of children to her. So no one can really blame Detlinde a lot for how she was raised, but her actions now can be looked at through the lens of someone who obviously had a traumatic upbringing, but that doesn't excuse her action, nor does it explain away everything she does. Personality disorders.
Disclaimer, I am not a medical professional that can diagnose any kind of personality disorder. All talk coming up next is speculation and nothing more. Remember, this is a fictional character.
So the 2 personality disorders that when I was really looking into it, I found were NPD and histrionic personality disorders. So let's look at these specific traits and see if she has them. Histrionic personality disorder. First up, we have the need to be the center of attention. My personal favorite moment of Detlinde where this happens is the Christmas tree incident, where she Obviously, she's trying to get the most attention by putting her hairstyle in the most extravagant possible. She has also tried multiple times to literally act better and also overshadow royalty. Next, we have seductive or provocative behaviors. This one, I chose this photo of Detlinde because in this photo, she is fully just letting go of everything she's learned through nobility, and is just acting out. And this happens often with Detlinde, where she'll just fully not respect everything she's learned. And she does show a lot of provocative behaviors or seductive behaviors towards Leoncio quite often, according to me. This is my personal opinion. Next, we have shifting and shallow emotions. Detlinde is very quick to emote and show her emotions and have very superficial emotions. They're never really clear what her emotions are in that moment. She will often manipulate people using her emotions, so I didn't know if this one was very applicative, but this one moment where she is yelling at Ferdinand, it reminded me a lot of these things. Next, we have uses appearance to draw attention. Thank you, Yukihime, for making this beautiful art for me that just portrays immediately what I think about Detlinde when using her appearance to draw attention. Again, Christmas tree incident, dressing and putting on face down on her body just to literally overshadow everyone. Next, we have impersonistic or vague speech. This does not apply to her, at all, in my opinion. She doesn't show this characteristic, and yeah. Dramatic or exaggerated emotions is literally the definition of Detlinde, if we ever think of it. She is so dramatic, so expressive, and all the photos that you've seen this far, her face is very much showing how she's feeling in that moment. So yeah, this one applies. Next, we have suggestible. She is very easily influenced and is constantly manipulated. This girl, no matter, her mom will tell her anything and she will believe it. She is so delusional and weird. It's funny as heck to see her go like this. Then we have thinks relationships are closer than they are. Girl literally thinks that Ferdinand is in love with her, when in reality, he loathes her. He hates her. And she thinks he's jealous when she's hanging out with Leoncio constantly. This girl needs a reality check. Then we have a narcissistic, or NPD. Grandiose sense of self-importance. Since she is destined to be Zent, she thinks she is unstoppable. Everyone should bow down to her. She literally cannot conceive the notion that everyone should not respect her. She believes she is the best and everyone should bow down to her and respect her. Then we have frequent fantasies about having or deserving. Again, the whole Zent situation. And also the fact that she will take credit for all of her attendance things that she does, or anyone in her duchy, for when Raymond made the whole communication thing and she took credit for it. So we have belief in superiority. Her refusal to even acknowledge anyone below her is baffling, and she believes that she is better than anyone, especially because her duchy, even though her duchy is number 6, she thinks she's better than royalty. To the point that she's like, haha, royalty is worse than me and I'm going to be sent. I'm going to show them. Then we have the need for admiration. She wants to be the center of attention, especially at her graduation ceremony, and basically wants to overshadow Eglantine, who graduated the year before her. So we have the Christmas tree incident that happened and basically caused a whole commotion. Then we have the entitlement. She believes that everything someone below her does should be her own achievement. Want everything for herself that includes rinse champ for the first year meeting. And literally she wants a hair accessory, like a hair charm and everything. It's incredible. Willingness to exploit others. She has no problem doing this at all. And like, literally, as long as it gets her to become Zent, she has used so many people. Her sister, Leoncio. But what she doesn't realize is that she is actually the person being used, but she has no problem exploiting others or taking advantage of others' people. The lack of empathy. Literally, all nobles have this problem. They do not consider that at all. They only think of themselves. This is not just a, like, Detlinde issue. This is a societal issue of nobility. They full-on cannot understand the concept of thinking of other people. To them, it is just my duchy, me, myself, and I is their whole thing. Then we have frequent envy. So every time Rosamine does anything, like at all, she is envious. Anytime royalty does anything at all, she wants it. So that's why we have the whole Christmas incident happening. Her wanting Grincham, even though she doesn't consider Rosamine her cousins. Why everything that Detlinde has ever done is in envy. So let's get into this discussion time / summary. So why do I consider Detlinde how I like Detlinde and everything? Considering who Detlinde is, she is a product of her environment and the fact that she was born into nobility and her mother's ambitions. That is why Detlinde is like this, is a lack of, first of all, parenting, a lack of just acknowledgement of anything going wrong because she believes she is superior than everyone else because she is a noble, specifically because she is an archduke candidate. And in this world, sadly, this isn't uncommon. It's just that Detlinde is such a stupid person, I would say. Detlinde is not smart, and it is acknowledged that she is not a smart person, and she has a lack of being able to think for herself. She doesn't very often think about what her actions will do to other people or what her actions mean to other people and what will happen when those the consequences that happen when a breach of trust happens. Detlinde also was very much neglected in her childhood. Like, we have had multiple times where it has been mentioned that Detlinde's mom just fully ignores her, and that it has been mentioned once or twice that her dad basically never acknowledged her existence and just would not even talk to her. And even though she sometimes did have some achievements, he wouldn't acknowledge those achievements and instead would always focus on his sons with his second wife. And he truly did not care for this girl. She is also, like, being the youngest and being so forgotten in her family must have hurt a lot because she's always been put to the side. And it's not until, like, she gets into school and her mom sees that she can use her daughter to get back at Ehrenfest, and the way that she can just use Ehrenfest in order to get her goals, that she finally starts acknowledging her daughter and finally starts using her daughter. And that's probably the only reason Detlinde is not dead right now, is because right before she got into school, she realized she would be in the same grade, around the same grade as, and be close enough to be able to interact with Wilfried and actively hurt her siblings, Georgine, like Sylvester and Ferdinand, and actually, like, do some damage to these people. And that's why she started using Detlinde. That does not explain away any of Detlinde's actions. She is still a horrible person for doing what she has done, but we have to acknowledge that she has always been envious and wanting her mother's attention and affection, which she has never had in her life before. it's a very sad childhood that she went through, and it's just never really been approached in that situation in a book. And her actions are unforgivable, what she has done to some characters. I sometimes was very much appalled, while specifically when she fully murders people in front of Letizia. That was a very sad moment in the book, because at that point Detlinde has gone so far into her delusions that she is superior and better than everyone else that she cannot come back. But I am known to be a Detlinde lover, and there's a reason for that, is that ever since I've done this project, I've grown to have compassion for a lot of the bookworm characters, because a lot of them just had such horrendous childhoods that I have a hard time just fully hating these characters. Because I want to make another video on Georgine, just to specifically look at how, like, horrendous she was treated, and how, like, this is the only way she knows how to treat people because of Veronica. Like, this is the definition of what generational trauma is that literally Detlinde, the whole conception around, like, Detlinde, Wilfried, Sylvester, a lot of Ehrenfest and Arensbach political alliances and stuff are just really hurtful, considering that why am I about to cry? This is not sad, come on. Considering that Detlinde was so mistreated, and everyone was so mistreated because of this one marriage, because this one girl fell in love because this dude was nice to her. And that caused a whole revolution between these duchies that fully made it that they had a lot of resentment, and there was a lot of things that happened between those duchies that eventually ended up with Veronica causing so much emotional damage to Georgine that Georgine wanted vengeance by any means necessary, and that basically meant to hurt her own daughter emotionally, physically, and neglecting her child, and also murdering her children. So I feel really bad for everyone in the story. Mostly there's only like 2 or 3 characters I really hate in the stories, but like most of the characters have had like a good, like, people, the author has really much made you understand where these characters are coming from and why they're like this. Does that mean that they're forgiven? No. But the main reason why I love Detlinde so much is because she is who she is. She's not apologetic. She is very, like, she is such a character that no one can make, like, a reason why to like her. But I really, really enjoy her as a character, and especially, like, I like reading her as a character. I found it very refreshing to read a character that is so unapologetic, that is so brash, that literally does not care about her actions, that is so self-assured, but also so crazy about it. It was very fun, refreshing, and I had never read a character like that. And when I had finally got into the mind space of, like, oh, this is Detlinde, and I finally, like, found her voice, and when I was reading it on the Magpie server and the Discord and everything, like, I suddenly felt this, like, attachment, because I was able to read into her character. I was able to understand where she's coming from, so I was able to emote her correctly, and I would just fully jump in and act like her, so that every time I would go in and read and have fun with it, I would just be unapologetically me and be her and actively make people feel uncomfortable, just like how she made you feel, how she made Rosamine feel uncomfortable in the story, how she abused Letizia, and how she would, like, the visceral reactions I would get while reading her that other people would get while I was reading her was very thrilling to me, because that meant I had done a good job at reading her character and understanding where she's coming from, and Detlinde is such a weird character to a lot of people. Like, she's so stupid and delusional that I like it. It's funny enough to me to say that I just like how stupid and delusional she is. Because she's not infuriating like Wilfried was in stupidity and delusional. She was more unapologetic about it. While Wilfried eventually realized his wrongs, Detlinde never does. She fully believes that she is fully correct in everything she's doing, and I can't argue against it. She's funny. I find her hilarious, and the way she treats Rosemine was so different than how other characters treated Rosemine. And I don't know, it's so fun to me to see a character like not being like there is no reason for how she acted, and never was explained. Like, she's funny to me, and I really like that about her. And the reason why I chose to do like this video was a lot because I don't know how to explain why I like Detlinde, but I can explain the process of how I came to like Detlinde. And that process was just me reading about her and me doing a literal study on this character for class. That basically made it so that this character was now a treasured piece of me because I had put so much work and effort into her that I could not just not like her anymore. She is a character that will forever like be in my heart as one of my favorite characters to read, and I will forever really want to read Detlinde. Like, no one can take that away from me. She is so fun and so she's such a fun character to me. The way that I can't explain it. I just love her, and no one can take that away from me. But doing this research project really brought into perspective of, sometimes authors really put in a lot of thought into how their characters are read and how they act based on their childhoods, and how their actions have consequences, and how those actions will then influence other characters, and how all of this really revolved around these few people who abused and used her from her childhood. And I'm really impressed by Kazuki for putting so much work into her books, and she's such a great author that I cannot wait to read more and to learn more about these characters because they're so fun. I physically cannot hate any of the characters she's written. Like, when you can write characters so good that I physically cannot hate any of them, except for like 2 or 3, I will forever ever hate Arnold. Like, no one can take that away from me. He is an asshole. But Detlinde has such a special place in my heart, and I can never replace this character because she was the first character that I physically felt a connection to for how misunderstood as a character she is compared to all the characters around her. Yes, she is delusional. Yes, she's crazy. No one argues against that. What I am saying is that she is layered. She's not just as delusional and unapologetic character. She is a character who has flaws, she has flaws, she has problems. She is not just one-faceted. She is a very much wants the attention of her mother. She has always wanted affection, love, and it's something that she never truly got, which is very sad to think about, that someone can go through life and never truly know what love is and how love can feel and how it feels to have someone be there for you and someone attached to you. And yeah, that's basically how I feel about Detlinde. She's this one character. She's a very sad character in my eyes, but she's also not. I just love her character, and I really hope that everyone can see that she is not just this spoiled brat of a character who never learned anything, but she is a fully fledged character that Kazuki sensei put a lot of work in and really thought about. So while doing this image, I hope you guys really like it. It's really pretty. I actually started a new meme because of it by Red Tempest, where he says that this is now Cousin Con, because this is one of the first times that we get to see Detlinde, and Detlinde is such an iconic character in my eyes. Without Detlinde, we would not have Bookworm the way it is, and yeah, without her, Bookworm isn't Bookworm. So yeah, I hope you all really liked the video. I know there's a lot of rambling in it, especially the last part. It's really rambly. I was doing it more like, oh my god, this is my authentic thoughts about it, so I hope you all enjoyed it. Goodbye. Conscientiousness is a blah 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 blah.